The warning klaxons screamed through the corridors of the valiant dawn, but Kanat barely heard them anymore. He'd grown accustomed to the constant alarms that plagued the aging warship as it limped through the outer rim. His hands, stained with grease and plasma residue, worked frantically beneath the engine panel, trying to coax another day of life from systems that should have failed months ago.
"Kanat, you need to evacuate."
"The core's going critical." Lieutenant Vexus's voice crackled through his comm unit, distorted by interference. He ignored it. The ship needed 10 more minutes. Just 10 minutes to reroute power to the emergency thrusters, or they'd all drift into the gravitational well of the dead planet below. Kenneth was just a mechanic, poor, overlooked, expendable in the eyes of most officers. But he knew these engines better than anyone, and abandoning them now meant condemning 300 souls aboard. That's when he heard them. Two voices, young and afraid, echoing from somewhere deeper in the engineering bay. Kenneth's blood ran cold. No one should be in Sector 7 Delta. It had been evacuated hours ago when the Krillian attack began. "Hello, is someone there?" he called out, abandoning his tools. "Please, help us." The voice was feminine, strained with pain. Kenneth sprinted toward the source, his boots pounding against metal grating. He found them in the auxiliary control room. Two girls, no older than 16, huddled behind a collapsed bulkhead. But these weren't ordinary teenagers. Half their bodies shimmered with synthetic enhancements, cybernetic limbs, neural interfaces glowing faintly beneath translucent skin. Cyborgs. Advanced ones. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Kenneth demanded, already assessing their condition. One had severe damage to her left leg assembly. The other clutched her side where sparks occasionally sputtered from a damaged power cell. "I'm Bella," the one with the injured leg said, her brown eyes meeting his with desperate determination. "This is my sister Arya. We were hiding. Our transport was destroyed, and we stowed away on your ship at the last station." "Stowaways? During a battle?" Kenneth shook his head in disbelief, but there was no time for lectures. The ship shuddered violently as another Krillian torpedo struck the shields. "Can you walk?" "Not fast enough," Arya admitted, her voice weak. "Our systems are failing. The electromagnetic pulse from the attack fried our emergency protocols." Kenneth looked at them, then at the sealed blast door leading to the evacuation pods. It was 300 meters away, through corridors that were rapidly decompressing. He was a mechanic, not a soldier. He had no armor, no weapons, no reason to risk his life for two illegal stowaways. But they were just kids. "Hold on to me, both of you." He pulled Bella's arm over his shoulder and helped Arya to her feet. Together they stumbled into the corridor. The ship groaned around them, metal screaming as hull integrity failed section by section. Emergency lights flickered, casting everything in hellish red. They'd barely made it 50 meters when the ceiling caved in ahead, blocking their path. Kenneth cursed, pivoting toward an alternative route, a maintenance shaft that would take them through the ship's underbelly. It was narrow, unstable, and half flooded with coolant, but it was their only chance. "Through here," he shouted, prying open the access hatch. They descended into darkness, the girls' cybernetic components providing faint bioluminescence. Kenneth's lungs burned as he breathed in toxic fumes. His muscles screamed in protest as he half-carried, half-dragged the sisters through the treacherous passage. Behind them, something exploded. A wall of flame rushed through the shaft, and Kenneth threw himself over the girls, shielding them with his body. Heat seared his back, and he bit down a scream. When the flames subsided, they pushed forward. Kenneth's vision blurred from pain and smoke inhalation, but he refused to stop, not when they were so close. Finally, miraculously, they emerged near the evacuation bay. Soldiers rushed past them toward the remaining pods. Kenneth collapsed against a wall, gasping for air, while medics immediately swarmed Bella and Arya. "You're the mechanic from engineering?" A commanding voice cut through the chaos. Kenneth looked up to see Commander Thrace, the Valiant Dawn's commanding officer, standing before him. The woman's scarred face was unreadable, her silver eyes intense. "Yes, sir." "Ma'am," Kenneth coughed. "You stayed behind. You saved those two cyborgs." It wasn't a question. They needed help. Thrace studied him for a long moment, then glanced at Bella and Arya, who were being stabilized by the medical team. "Do you know who they are, Mechanic Kenneth?" He shook his head weakly. "They're the daughters of Ambassador Lyris of the Cyborg Coalition. Their transport was attacked by Krillian assassins. We've been searching for them for 3 days." Thrace paused, something like respect flickering across her features. You just saved two of the most important people in the quadrant, and in doing so, you may have just secured humanity's alliance with the Cyborg coalition. Kanat blinked in confusion, unable to process her words. Thrace extended her hand. When this battle is over, you're getting a promotion, mechanic. And not just any promotion. The coalition has requested that you personally oversee their joint engineering program. You're going to be the liaison between human and cyborg technology. Congratulations, you're not poor anymore. You're not invisible anymore. You're a hero. Kanat stared at her hand, then at Bella and Arya, who managed weak smiles despite their injuries. He thought about his tiny quarters, his empty bank account, his years of being overlooked and undervalued. He thought about how close he'd come to leaving them behind. Finally, he took Commander Thrace's hand and let her pull him to his feet. I just did what was right, he said simply. That, Thrace replied, a rare smile crossing her lips, is exactly why you're the perfect person for the job. As the valiant Dawn jumped to hyperspace, leaving the battlefield behind, Kanat realized that his destiny had changed in ways he never could have imagined. All because he'd chosen compassion over self-preservation. All because he'd refused to leave anyone behind.